Hello everyone. This is a message from Yanis Varoufakis and from the Democracy in Europe movement, DM25, on the occasion of your fresh start. A start which is absolutely necessary for France and indeed for Europe. Now, allow me to begin with a story. Why should Greece matter to you? It really shouldn't. It's a very small country, unless you like it. It only matters to France because what is being attempted in this country is simply meant as a dress rehearsal for what's coming to Paris, to Lyon, to Marseille, to Calais, to the whole of your country. In April, it was 2015, I was representing my country, Greece, at the International Monetary Fund annual gathering, the spring gatherings, as they call them. And I remember being in a very large conference room with ministers from all over the world and, of course, Christine Lagarde and everyone else sitting around there. And I was having a discussion actually with the French representative, Benoît Cœuré of the European Central Bank. And suddenly I heard behind me a very loud row. And I asked Benoît, what happened? And I turned around and I looked across the room and I saw your finance minister at the time, Michel Sapin, and Wolfgang Schäuble, the German finance minister, having a very heated argument, a very unpleasant argument. I couldn't hear what they said, but I asked Benoît, and I said, what happened? And Benoît smiled and said to me, Wolfgang just said that he wants the Troika in Paris. In subsequent discussions, Wolfgang Schäuble himself confirmed this, not in so many words. What was it that he confirmed? That the Eurozone has been created in such a way that Berlin, at least the elites in Berlin, the ruling class in Berlin, believes that it is essential to rein France in. That if France wants to use the Deutschmark, which is the euro, of course, in disguise, then the French have to impose upon themselves the kind of measures, of misanthropic austerity reforms, in inverted commas reforms, that have been tried out in Greece. And the reason why Greece is not being allowed out of its debtor's prison and out of its Great Depression is so that Paris gets the message that if it wants the Deutschmark, if it wants the euro, you've got to do as you're told. Now, the solution is not that which my friend Jean-Luc Mélenchon is advocating, to get out. Simply to say, well, let's dismantle it, it was a bad idea. And it is not Emmanuel Macron's, my other friend's, solution, which is to turn France into a second-rate form of Germany, with labor markets that begin to resemble those of Germany. Remember, when the Germans introduced more flexibility, that is anti-worker, anti-labor legislation in Germany, there was a time it could work. It would increase the competitiveness of the German economy. Why? Because investment was rising throughout the world and demand was rising. It was before the 2008 crisis. Now, what Emmanuel Macron is doing today is going to create a Greece-like situation in France without succeeding in persuading Berlin to give him what he wants, which is a small kind of federation, federation petit. Federation light in American terms. Now, my message to you is we need a movement. The Democracy in Europe movement, inaugurated in Berlin purposely, is attempting to do that which neither Mélenchon on the left nor the deep establishment, represented today, yesterday by Hollande, the day before yesterday by Sarkozy, today by Macron, can do either. The deep establishment is reproducing the conditions of the crisis, and the idea of exiting the European Union, or at least the Eurozone, is not constructive enough. There is absolutely no way that the masses of the French, of the Germans, of the Greeks will accept that argument. So what we need to do, what we've been trying to do since February 2016 to do with DM25, is to produce the first transnational movement that succeeds today in Europe to do that which the generation of the 1930s failed to do in France, in Germany, in Greece, in Portugal, everywhere. What is it that that generation failed to do? They failed to reach out, hold hands together across different political party lines, across European borders, to forget whether they are formerly socialists, social democrats, communists, liberals, and to forget whether they are French, Greeks, Germans, and so on, and to create a movement that stops Europe from sinking into the abyss of the 1930s of deflation, xenophobia, racism, and loss of hope, effectively. This is what we need to do. At DiEM25, we've been trying to do this, and we've been trying to do it by means of what we call constructive disobedience. So we are very constructive in a way that Jean-Luc Mélenchon is not. We have a plan that could be implemented tomorrow morning, not in 2 years' time, without distraction, a modest one, but a very clear, radical, and effective one, which effectively exposes the toxic there is no alternative dogma of the establishment. And at the same time, we are disobedient. I practiced disobedience in the Eurogroup. I said, no. If you do not want to take seriously our constructive proposals, we will disobey. Now, that failed. But if we do this across Europe, if we form one movement, one democratic progressive movement across Europe, by which simultaneously to oppose the deep establishment and the nationalist international, we have a chance. Indeed, we have a duty to do that. With my best wishes and DiEM25's best wishes for your beginning, I welcome you to the great movement of democrats in Europe, and I invite you to join DiEM25 and for us to join what you are doing.